Okay, this is how to then populate the sheet. You'll see sheets here. I created this sheet. Of course, I can rename this one if I want to. The sheet number, it's going to stay the same, uh, but I can call it 100 if I want. And then I can give it a sheet name, uh, you know, A01 presentation or something. Okay. Um, the first thing that I'm probably going to do, I'm just going to show you how to do is if I want to put text on the sheet itself. And so let's just put a big title. One thing, there's several things I want you to do uh, with the sheet, and that is one, put a title. Second, put your name on it, those type of things. So let's go in here into view, and all those things are listed that I want on the sheet are listed in the assignment sheet. But let's go in and I'm going to show you how to create. So we want to add text up here that says, assignment, site model, and climate analysis, right? So A01. So that's what we're going to do. But we want it like at 1 inch text or something. We don't want it 1/4 inch text. So we're going to create us a new text, and we're just going to edit. And Arial's fine if you want to use a different text. There's a bukus of different fonts you can use within it. So Arial. So what we're going to do is duplicate this, and then we'll call this 1 inch text Arial. We'll say OK. And then we'll put 1 inch in here for the size of the text and line weight. This has to do with if we put arrows on it and stuff like that and what the distance that would be. Uh, well, we'll just buy this right now. And then I'm going to click up here and I'm going to say A01 site model and climate analysis. Okay. Oh, okay. And then I hit the escape key when I did it. And so, maybe I want this further up. Once again, there we go. Now we move it, you know. Um, Maybe I want some lines underneath this. So I'll show you how to create lines, of different thicknesses and stuff. So we go into structure. I'm sorry, architecture. No, 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 no. Oh, annotate again. And we'll put a detail line in here. We'll save the project. And then we can select, thin lines, wide lines. If you're not happy with the color or type of lines or the width of the lines that are here, you can make your own. Uh, I'm just going to draw that as a line. Um, and but that's a wide line. If you can go into manage and settings, and you'll see line weights, line patterns, line styles. Um, what we're using here are what are called line styles. You'll see wide. Here's a wide line. It's 5. It's black. It's solid. Uh, if I wanted another line, I can create a new one. Uh, so this is accumulation of what the line style is, a name. Okay, it's the name given to a style. For instance, I picked wide just a few minutes ago, so that's the name is given to it. Line weight and projection is given to it, and we'll talk about line weights and how they show up in a drawing. And then the color of the line, and then whether there's a pattern associated with it, whether it's solid, dashed, or whatever it might be. Okay, let's close that. And then we're going to go into settings and look at line weights, and you'll see this line weight table, okay? Because line weights in that 5 doesn't mean 5 millimeters, doesn't have a dimension to it. It's related to a scale. And you'll see right here 3 different tables, okay? Model line weights, perspective line weights, and annotation line weights. Model line weights are the majority of what we'll use. That will be in orthographic drawings. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. You'll see at this table right here, there are 16 uh, created line weights at this point, defaults. And these are the dimensions of those line weights uh, according to the scale of the view. Okay, so if the scale is 1 foot, 1 inch equals 1 foot, then a number one line weight is 0.0030. And you'll see throughout it's a 0.0030 no matter what the line weight is. But as we get into a line 4, okay, at 1 inch is 0.0180. But as the scale gets smaller, you'll notice that it also gets smaller. Okay, so it'll be proportional, and that's so that your line weights will be proportional to the scale that you're doing it. Okay, so that takes a little get used to. Um, so you can create a variety of different line weights. Other things in the annotate. Um, well, we'll just go and put the other things in there. Put your name in there, right? Probably a 1/4 inch or 3/32, 1/4 inch will work. I'll put my name in here. You want to put the architecture 5354, 5354. I think I asked you to put spring or fall in this case, fall 2019. And once again, I don't try to get things exactly where I want them. I get them in then and at the size I want them to be, and then I move them around. So Glen Hill, I can't. There's other things I asked you to put in the put the standard stuff in there that you would do. Uh, and you can kind of put it wherever you want. Uh, well, now let's be consistent. Let's put the name of the project here. Probably what belongs underneath that then is the class, then your name. Yeah, I'm taking way too much time to do this, and then your name and some kind of date on there. Once again, you can do a variety of different things in text. Any text that you put here is going to be on the sheet. I would recommend in relationship to your drawings that you pull in that you always put them in the view itself so that if you decide to change a scale, their size will change appropriately if you don't. This site plan, for instance, I pulled it in uh, and it's huge, right? That's going to be way too big, and it's at 1 to 20 right now. It's going to take up, what does it take up? Probably a third of the sheet right now. So that's more than we definitely want there. There's 2 ways to go back to that view and change its scale. One is just to go back into the view itself, site plan right there. And of course down here, we can change the site plan to, instead of 1 to 20, let's go, I don't know, 1 to 50. Um, okay. And once again, the beauty of all that scaling issues is that notice now the text is larger because the scale is now of the drawing is smaller, and the hatching, it adjusts everything, and that's the beauty of having those scale set. Um, so if we go back into our presentation sheet now, okay, we can probably live with that. And so I'm going to move this up here. Now, the thing about views, okay, um, there's the view, which is this right here, okay, and that view could have a border around it or not. That's going to be dependent on when we go into the view, whether or not we have the, whoops, the crop on or off, okay? If we have that on, then that line is going to show up here in the presentation, as you can see. Now, can we edit that on the fly inside here? Yes, we can. If you double click on the view, okay, that's going to bring you into, it's very subtle, this turned gray, but you're now in a window into that view, okay? And notice right down here, these reflect the view, not the sheet. And so we can turn that line off now, and it'll just float there, okay? If we right click, I can deactivate this view, and now I'm back to the sheet level. Okay, so there's the view, and then there's the view tag, and this is called the view tag. Okay, and it's automatically set up. Okay, um, and it's defaulting. You can go in and change this and edit it. I'm not going to get into how to do that right now, but if you're interested, I'll show you how to do that. Um, but to move it, we're going to have to get back out. So we're in the view. Let's deactivate the view. And then now, okay, so to move a view, we move like this. To move this line, if this line is not, oh, and if we're in this view, we can edit the length of this line. Okay, so if I want it the same length as the width of this. Now for right now, I would probably just use these titles. I want you to have titles, but if you want to turn these off and then just type text in, um, you know, to make your own titles, that's fine. If you want to leave these titles, that's fine too. But anyway, so that moves the view around. Now, if I want to move this around, what I have to do is make sure I select it independently of selecting the view. And when I select it, notice now I can independently move that line. So it's a little tricky initially. So if you're trying to size this up, you know, the tag here, then you need to just select it. If you want to change the length of that tag, though, the line associated with that tag, then you need to grab, you know, the view, click on the view, and then these little endpoints will, okay. So that's how that works. Let's look now at the other site plan. We want to pull it in. So this is at 1 to 20, right? The other site, which is the area plan, okay? If we bring that one in, of course, it's going to be huge too, because I think it's at 1 to 50, okay? Once again, I'm just going to double click on this. Yeah, it's at 1 to 50. So we probably want it at 1 to 100, okay? And that probably brings it down to a size that we can actually deal with. Notice also it's set to Project North instead of uh, True North. I think I would want it in True North the same as this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, since I'm in that view right now, I can go over here and say set this to True North. Okay, and then I can deactivate the view. Okay. This is why you always want to create views that are going for the presentation independent of your working views. Don't mess with your working views. I'm going to, you know, change the length of this line. I'm going to move this view up here next to this one. You know, so just make logical, you know, I don't know how big your views are going to be. Just make logical decisions and stay with it, you know. Uh, Compositionally what works. Annotate this as needed. Let's go uh, add a section in here. So here's the building section, and then there's the north-south site section. Let's drag the north-south site section in here. Okay, and so it's at, once again, I think we set that to 1 to 20. Okay, so it is, probably makes more sense to be at 1 to 50, you know. Uh, so once again, let's deactivate the view, and now we can move the view around. So we'll, you know, move it over here, stack it in. Then we have to decide, uh, click on the view, make the line shorter. Okay. Um, anyway, you got the idea. Uh, and then we'll add text or whatever to it. If I want it framed, I can leave the crop edge on. If I don't want it framed, then I can go into the view, double click on it, and I can turn the crop off. Okay. I can add, once again, I would do it in the view. So I would open that view up. If I wanted to mask this or draw a line here, a detail line, right? So if I wanted a detail line here, then I would do that with detail lines. Of course, that's not where I want it. I need to zoom in more. But I can add, detail lines to this. Uh, and clear those edges rather than use the cropping. So if I didn't want this cropped above it, let's see if I can get this a little bit closer. And then I can hit the nudge keys, which are the arrow keys, and nudge that over. But anyway, so this is getting kind of long and detailed. Uh, but pull those views in, organize them into an interesting composition. Make sure that you have the appropriate labeling and annotation for us to at least understand a little bit about what you've got here. There's one last piece to this, and that is to do the energy analysis and post the energy analysis, and I'm going to cover that in the next videos.